Ladies and gentlemen, I have finally seen the uber special effects film designed to have legs and go to China and get all kinds of Chinese dollars, The Great Wall. And it's not so great of a wall. What's going on here is that these two mercenaries show up in China looking for black powder, and they have to deal with some lizard things, and by running away from the lizard things and looking for the black powder, they stumble upon the Great Wall, the largest structure, at least in terms of length, in the world at that time. And this ingeniously built wall, guarded by these ridiculously well-armed and armored Chinese people, and they all get schooled by these two mercenaries on how to fight monsters that the mercenaries have never seen before. I have to say that if I were Chinese, I would really find this offensive. I mean, oh look, the white guys are showing us how to fight. They're instrumental in how we of course they'd have to be because it's a story, but I mean, you know, you've got these well-armored Chinese soldiers who should be really taking down these lizard dog things left and right, and then these poorly armored white dudes who are just, you know, knocking them back like they're beers. I will have to say this is a really beautiful movie. It has a lot of beautifully designed costumes and sets, and there are these really ingenious sort of things that happen with the wall. And I mean, I realize that the wall being stone, a lot of that stuff seems really silly. Because it's like, yeah, they're moving that. Wouldn't that decrease how well the wall works? And you have to also put out there that the story, the super story, the ultra story, the story that exists beyond the story is that there was an evil emperor who was too greedy, and to punish him, the gods sent down a meteor that turned a mountain green, and every 60 years, bunch of dog lizard monsters come out of it to go eat all the humans. Okay, and they said, well, how are we going to deal with the dog monsters? Well, there's this great wall over here, so let's just use this great wall. We're not going to build anything around the mountain. We're going to use the great wall. And the strategy of dealing with these monsters is so ridiculous, because it's like, oh, well, we're going to start out with spears, and then after a while, we're going to move on to our heavy artillery. And this is video game logic. This is video game logic, because you know what happens in the game? You start out with the swordsman, okay? And then you move up to, you've got the swordsman, now you can build arrowmen. Beard arrowman. Yes, he's a manly man. Beard arrowman. Anyway, so, and then they've got all these skilled warriors. But one of the things that keeps happening is people keep descending the wall to fight with the bad guys. And it's like, you know, you've got this wall. I don't know if you realize this, but there's this wall here. And the whole point of this wall is to protect you from the bad guys while you shoot at them from a safe distance. So why are you dropping down there with a spear and stabbing when you should be lobbing your black powder explosives over? Why aren't you just throwing the spear rather than jumping? I understand that going down there with the spear means that you can aim the spear better. But you know, the spear is a lot easier to replace than the person holding it. So there's that, and you know, all the spear people were hot chicks. And feeding a hot chick to a monster is just terrible. I only wanted to see this movie because a chick from Pacific Rim was in it, and she's hot. But she also, I think, is like half Japanese, so it's like, what's she doing in this movie? And then further along the lines, you know, I have to point out that the main characters there, like the hot chick and her assassin chicks, all looked really white. I mean, I know that this is not beyond possibility with the Chinese, And I think maybe even members of the ruling class might be very pale. I've never really looked into it, but I'm just saying, this is like, why is this group of really white Japanese, or really white Chinese people, excuse me, and then all of the other Chinese people are darker? I don't know. If somebody knows, please explain in the comments below. Anyway, The Great Wall is a silly movie. It is a silly, fun movie, rather like Pacific Rim. It is not as fun as Pacific Rim, but you can make a lot more action figures out of it, and you want hordes and hordes of them action figures afterwards, because it's really beautiful, pretty armor that they've got running around. I mean, the main chick has at least 2 action figures they can make of her. So when you're looking for Great Wall toys this weekend, there's going to be a plethora, of them. This movie is not designed to be high art. It is designed to be a fun monster movie. I would kind of like to see Godzilla stomp on all these things, but I know that's not going to happen. So again, if I know it's out of theaters, if you want a Blu-ray, I guess, whenever it comes out on Blu-ray, you want to see a really pretty movie, The Great Wall is a really pretty movie. Just turn your head off, knock back a beer or two, and enjoy. Don't think too hard. Anyway, that's my opinion of the film. I'd like to know what yours is down in the comments below. I'm Richard.